line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit. Stayed down, remain humble and I made it work. Crazy how I came out so clean from the dirt. We was using candles on the nights the lights ain't work. We ain't never going back to that and that I merged.
Hey guys, it's your boy Brad. I'm back. Sports Plug Week 3. So excited for this week. You'll hear like a really common narrative this week, just from me and a lot of people out there. Just essentially a lot of even matchups, a lot of good matchups, especially Monday. And yeah, just excited to get into this and excited for another week of the Sports Plug podcast. So what I'm gonna dive into first, again, just want to thank you guys for being awesome supportive fans of the show. So what I'm going to dive into first is my picks for the week. First, obviously Miami beat Jacksonville on Thursday. Not really, I'm not sure if they had some delusional Jacksonville fans, but I think they're now starting to come back to earth, along with Minshew. But yeah, they took the L pretty hard on Thursday. Miami looked pretty good. Looks like they're going to, have some sort of say-so in the AFC East. Definitely still have some things to clean up. Especially it's just whether or not Fitzpatrick's going to be as that consistent this year. But yeah, definitely strong showing from them. And then, but to get right into today's picks, I gotta, I'm going to start with Chicago going to Atlanta. Spread is 3.5. Atlanta's 3.5 point favorites. Point total is 47. I'm going with Atlanta. I know what you're thinking. Look, they just had a really, really tough loss on last Sunday to Dallas. But I got to go with them. I just think they're just more talented. I don't trust Trubisky, so my pick is definitely for Atlanta. Final score, I got it being 24-13. Oh, guys, you got to remind me of these things. But so far, and I had a question about this, which I did address on my podcast as well. Go run that up. Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. It's on their Sportsbook podcast. But so far, yeah, week 1, I went 9-7 for picks, which was brutal, which was really brutal. Had a bounce back week last week, went 15-1. So your boy's on fire. So gotta, stay consistent. So this week I'm gonna try and be a little bit better. But yeah, for our first game, I got Atlanta win 24-13. They cover the spread, but do not get the point total. So we'll see about that. Next, Rams going to Buffalo. The Bills are 1.5 point favorites. Totally understood why they would be point and a half favorites. They've been playing really consistent, being able to run the ball. Josh Allen, while still overthrowing receivers at some point, is still throwing some dimes also. So Stephon Diggs looks unguardable. So that is going to be the matchup. Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Diggs, must-see TV. I cannot wait to watch that. Also because I have Stephon Diggs in 2 leagues. So, but I'm going to go with the Rams to upset Buffalo in this case. I'm going 24-17. It's going to be really closely contested, but I'm still just going to have to go with the Rams. I think their defense is supremely talented. The Bills will make some plays for sure because, they're a really quality team, but I have to go with the Rams and 24-17 touchdown win. And yeah, I don't see, especially with these two defenses, I don't see them getting over the point total of 46.5. So next, kind of a pretty interesting matchup, but on the surface of it, probably not that interesting of a matchup just because the quarterback play has been inconsistent on both sides, but there's so much talent on both sides. And that is in Washington at Cleveland. Cleveland is 7-point favorites. And to me, that's just a little bit much. I don't see, you can, on paper, you would say Cleveland is more talented, but just if you watch them play both the first 2 weeks of this season, I mean, you just know that it's not as far away as you think the teams are. So I think Cleveland's going to run the ball between Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. They're going to start establishing run early and often. It's going to be really interesting to see how Washington's defensive front handles that. They're really strong. They have a lot of depth up front, so they're definitely going to be hard to run against. But I think Cleveland will have some early success, which will open up the play action, and Baker will make some good throws. I do think he ultimately ends up with I'm going to go with 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers for that offense for sure. My score is 28-24 Cleveland. They do not cover, but they do get the point total. I think that I have them having about 52 total points, so they will definitely eclipse that 45-point total for sure. Next, we got Tennessee at Minnesota. Tennessee's 2.5-point favorites. Definitely an interesting matchup. Kirk Cousins was he was awful. He was awful. I'll say it one more time in case you didn't hear me. He was awful. Yeah. And that was my lock for last week. My one pick I didn't get. He was just absolutely awful. Minnesota, I don't know what's going on with them. They're not getting me 2 weeks in a row. I picked them week 1, week 2. No. I'm going with Tennessee. I think it'll still be close just because I think the Vikings will show some fight this week just because they can't go 0-3, but I still have them going 0-3. So Tennessee 27, Minnesota 24, close affair. Tennessee ekes out the cover, which is 2.5. They win by 3. And I think that I have them having the point total. Yeah, I think I have them 50. The point total is 49.5. I have them getting 51. So yeah, I got Tennessee winning that game. And then next matchup, Vegas at New England. If you are a fan of the show, you know how I feel about the Vegas Raiders. Just because I think Gruden has those boys in the right positions. He's scheming a lot of their receivers open. Only thing that is a little bit troubling, no Ruggs this week for Raiders. I mean, unless he magically hops in at 1, it's looking like he's definitely not going to play. So even less receivers for Derek Carr, which was already having kind of like a really young, inexperienced, and depleted wide receiver core. So Brian Edwards, the rookie at South Carolina, I mean, he's going to get targets. And I saw Nelson Aguilar, which if you're an Eagles fan, you never want to hear that hear that name again. But I saw him play last week. Darren Waller listed as active just happened like 20 minutes ago. I know he was a little bit doubtful, but he's definitely going to play, which if you have Darren Waller, that's great news. But I'm going with the Raiders. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. It's going to be Cam versus Derek Carr, Bill Belichick versus Gruden. Whew. I mean, you can't. Josh Jacobs versus that front seven. Can you? I love watching the Raiders play this year. They're a really exciting team. And then on top of it, they're playing against Cam. Great matchup. I got the Raiders winning 31-27. Yes, I think the Raiders are going to put up some points against the Pats. And obviously the Pats are going to put up points too. I mean, arguably Russell Wilson already torched them, so I'm sure Gruden was all over that film. So 31-27. They definitely get the point total, which was 47. They're gonna kill that. And yeah, I know New England's a 5.5 favorites because it is in Gillette Stadium, but I got the Raiders pulling out the dub. Next, sorry about that. They already addressed the Jags taking the L last week or on Thursday. It's okay. You get a couple beers, you'll get over it. Next, we go San Fran. Going to New York to play the New York Football Giants. So on both sides, you have very significant injuries. I mean, whether it be San Fran with their whole slew of injuries, but Giants just having Saquon hurt. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it'll be closer than what people think. San Fran is 3.5-point favorites, but they're starting Nick Mullins. Like, I don't like Nick Mullins. Like, who? The thing is that their front on offense and defense are both just still so strong. Although Nick Bosa is out on the defensive front, they still have so many other guys that they can plug and play. So I think they're just going to run the ball. If you got, I guess, if I wouldn't touch anybody on this team. I know a lot of people went for the Giants running back little free agency thing, but I think all around all these players on both teams are not really touchable. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be an ugly game. It's just going to be running. Absolutely do not. I just don't. I'm not really confident I'm playing any of these players in this game. If you do have them in fantasy, I can't even think of a receiver outside of Deebo Samuel who's hurt. And then, I mean, you have Brandon Ayuk, who's a rookie out of Arizona State, but he hasn't had a lot of targets. And then on the Giants side, the only one that's really playable, I would say, is Evan Ingram, who had a double digits week last week, but I'm not touching any of those running backs. I got San Fran winning a close one, 20-17, a lot of field goals. I would say 2 touchdowns, a pair, maybe. Maybe 3. I'll go 3. 2 for San Fran, 1 for the Giants. And yeah, they do not cover, surprisingly. Next, you got Cincy at Philly. This one's very interesting. It's kind of where I would say you have 2 different narratives going for quarterbacks, where you have Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. He's getting a lot of praise, a lot of early praise, but a lot of that's attributed to low expectations. And I wouldn't say, like, as a number 1 pick that he had low expectations. It's just for that team overall, there are low expectations. So anything he does that is, even generally, pretty good, he's going to get praise for, just for keeping games close, because people think the Bengals are terrible, which you can really argue, especially that offensive line is terrible and their defense. So I think it'll be a tight one, just because Philly's been playing really, really inconsistent. I think Philly needs to take some off of Carson Wentz's plate. He's pushing too much. He's holding the ball too long, looking for the home run play. They need to just give the ball to Miles Sanders. I think it's pretty simple. Give the ball to Miles Sanders. And I know people do not like running the ball, especially in 2020. It's considered to be boring, but run the ball. Just run the ball. Bengals don't have a good run defense. Just run the ball on them. Let Carson Wentz ease his way into the game. He really needs to have a positive game this week. And that's just honestly and truly, you can see his confidence is shot. His coach is taking shots at him through media. Like, this isn't the stuff you couldn't told me in the locker room, but whatever. Point is, I do have Philly getting a much needed win, because if they go 0-3, I don't know how they see themselves coming back in that division. They need Dallas to lose today, which is definitely possible against Seattle, but just to keep sake with staying in the race with that division, they need a win this week. So I have Philly getting a desperation win, 28-20 against the Bengals. It'll be close throughout. Honestly, I think it'll be very, very, very close, which isn't good if you're an Eagles fan, but they'll squeak it out, and they actually end up covering. Next, we got Houston at Pittsburgh. Hey, after this year, I might start a free Deshaun campaign. I might start it, just because it's not fair what Bill O'Brien's doing to him. It's just not fair. Unless they're planning on getting Jordan Chase in next year's draft, maybe that's what it is. Because if you're gonna suck, wouldn't you be trying to be terrible for Trevor Lawrence? But maybe they want Jordan Chase. I said Jordan Chase. Sorry, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase out of LSU. If you're a Dexter fan, Jordan Chase is a suspect in that show. But Jamar Chase out of LSU, I think for sure. I can't go. I just, in good conscience, I just can't go with Houston. I think they're gonna have some trouble against Pittsburgh, but Deshaun's gonna be Deshaun. He's gonna have a couple big plays. I just can't, in good conscience, go with them. I'm sorry. I don't see Bill O'Brien hasn't done anything defensively or offensively to help his quarterback out this year. So hopefully he has some sort of long-term plan, or Houston removes him from GM. Just that's what needs to happen ASAP. I'll be generous. I'll go Pittsburgh 28 or 28. I'll go Pittsburgh 28. Houston 17. I'll give them 17. I'll be nice. 17. Pittsburgh definitely covers. They're 4-point favorites. Next game. New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. You know where I'm going with this. The Jets are going to lose. They're going to lose. Yeah, it's pretty simple. They're going to lose. I don't see really much of a way. The only way they can try to control it is if they can really, really run the ball. But last week you had Frank Gore with 21 carries, 60 yards. So they're averaging, 3 yards a carry, which is awful. They're going to lose. So especially against Indy's front, they have some really young, great players on that front. They just need to figure out the back end of their defense, which I think they will. They're going to get their secondary is going to get better. It's just right now they're going through it. So, but surprisingly, I do think they turned over Phillip Rivers last week, which I think I owe a public apology to. He did pretty decent, although they were like 0 for 7 in the red zone and had like 5 field goals. So I really don't even think I really need to apologize to him. But whatever. Yeah, free Darnold from Adam Gase. But yeah, I'm gonna go. It's gonna be an ugly game. I'm gonna go 21-13 Indy. They don't cover that 11-point thing just because the Colts don't score that much points. If you haven't noticed, I don't know why Vegas is giving them 11.5-point favorites. They really think the Jets are that awful, but I don't. So going 21-13 Indy. Next, we got the Panthers at the Chargers. Interesting matchup. Got Justin Herbert getting his second start ever. Definitely like that. I think he's, I wouldn't say maybe mentally better than Tyrod, but just his physical attributes are what make him a more intriguing and luring quarterback. Just I'm a Chargers fan, I'm happy that he's getting the start. So I think he's going to get his first win as an NFL quarterback. Sorry. I mean, he was going against Pat Mahomes last week. You had to figure just whether it be that late throw he did over the middle of the field, which was just like, throw the ball away, man. This isn't Oregon. Honestly, you can almost argue that cost him the game just because it gave the Chiefs the ball back, which you just cannot do against Pat Mahomes. I think it's going to be kind of a high scoring affair. Don't know how Mike Davis is going to do in replacing C-Mac, but I think just between the receivers, they're going to have some decent big plays. I'm going to go 27-24 Chargers. They don't cover that 6.5-point spread, just because that Chargers defense is a little bit beat up as well. So I think they're going to give up some points. So still have the Chargers winning, but only by 3. Next, you got Denver. At home against Tampa Bay. They are 5.5-point underdogs. Interesting game because I feel bad for Denver's defense. They can't catch a break, whether it just be the opponent they're playing or just injuries on the other side of the ball. So they're really just having to carry the full mantle of this team. Jeff Driscoll, UF's own. I just do not see that being a good recipe for success this week. I'm gonna be nice to Denver. I'm gonna go 27-17 Tampa. Much needed get back game for Tampa Bay Bucks. Although they did win last week, it was kind of interesting that it was a little bit close against the Panthers. So this is gonna be great. This is a tune-up game for Brady, which they need. He only had one offseason with these receivers in this offense, so they need games like this to really get in tune with each other. So when they play the big boys in the NFC, that they can really, contend. So 27-17, they get a 10-point win. They cover against Denver. Next, we got Detroit going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. I think the point total is 55, which that's a joke. They're going to kill that. And Arizona's 5.5-point favorites. I'm going to get into the details of this a little bit later, but I think Kyler Murray, kid's looking good. I know there's some haters about Kyler Murray. I won't say any names, but Some people have been hating on him, saying he has Napoleon complex. It's almost it's funny because these same people are the same ones who don't like Tory Lanez, but whatever. Anyways, clearly a lot of people don't like him because he's short, but he's been efficient. He's been efficient this week, and I really think he's going to do a great job especially against this Lions defense, who's just been giving up points like it's a free raffle. So I'm definitely going the Cardinals, high scoring affair. Matt Stafford's going to have a good day against that Arizona defense. I'm going 34-28 Arizona. They cover their 5.5 point spread barely by half point, but Kyler's going to have a big day. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. But yeah, Arizona gets the dub. Next, literally got my two past week 1 and week 2 say less players of the weeks going against each other in Dak and Russell Wilson. Just from a standpoint, if you've been paying attention to injuries, the secondary that I already do not like, and Awuzie and Trayvon Diggs are both hurt. Awuzie is a game time decision. Trayvon Diggs practiced yesterday, so it's looking like he's going to play. And I do not like to pick on the man. I really do not. But come on. He's in the NFC. He's a rookie. And on top of it, like, you're going to have him and Jordan Lewis matching up on Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And you saw what DK Metcalf did to the Patriots last week. Come on. Russell Wilson might throw for 400 yards. You heard it here first. He might throw for 400 yards today against that defense. But what will Dak do against Seattle's defense? That will be what honestly determines how close this game is going to be. But Russell Wilson's about to go off. I have this a high-scoring game. I got 31-28. Actually, I might even bump that out even more. I might go 35-31. I think Dallas will get some points, but it'll be more of like the same way last week where they'll try to come back late. But Seattle's defense is a lot stronger than obviously Atlanta's. Don't get me started on Dan Quinn. Yeah, for sure they kill their point total, and Seattle does not cover. It'll be one of those late bad beats where everyone gets really angry because Dallas gets a late touchdown, which doesn't allow Seattle to cover. And then Sunday night matchup. This one was tough. A lot of key injuries on both sides. It's going to end up being the battle of quarterbacks that people have been questioning or saying they're over the hill, and battle of running backs. Both have their number one receivers who are looking like they're not going to play. Davante Adams with that hamstring, even if he is playing, if you have him in fantasy, sit him. His hamstring is bad. It's looking like just the reports out of camp that out of practice this week is that he was hobbling still. They had the tape on him. He barely practiced. Obviously Michael Thomas is out for the Saints side. And yeah, if you have Allen Lazard, he's looking like the guy this week. So I would just sit on Davante Adams, and then getting on the running back side, Alvin Kamara. You are saving me in 2 leagues. I love you. But Alvin Kamara versus Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a monster week. Shout out to Obi. He called it. He knew he was going to have a monster week last week. But yeah, for sure, it's going to be the battle of the running backs. I think they're both going to get high volume touches. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers just because Drew's been a little bit iffy lately. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers gets the win. And then you start hearing those rumbles out of New Orleans questioning Drew Brees starting 1-2. And then you'll have Tampa Bay being 2-1, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to go with Green Bay getting the win, 24-20. Close affair. I didn't even realize New Orleans was favorites. But yeah, I guess that's an upset I have going. So I have Green Bay getting the upset. And then lastly, Monday night. Oh, this one was so tough. So tough. I couldn't. It took a lot to try to pick this one because I was just really trying to break down logistics of the game. Kansas City really, 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 I would hope had a wake-up call last week against the Chargers. But unfortunately, I don't think they did. I think Baltimore just has been more consistent. I think they have a quarterback who's really determined and really ready to leave his imprint on this league if he hasn't already done that as a returning MVP this year. But I think he's just really determined to get to that promised land, which is a Super Bowl. I think they get the win. It'll be a very close game just because Pat Mahomes is just a monster, but so is that Ravens defense. So I got 31-27. They try to pull a Houdini on the Ravens like they did the Chargers last week, but just don't have enough just not having enough time to do it. I think just this will be a great wake up call for the Chiefs just to really, hey, it's a new year. It's 2020. Super Bowl's over. There's some teams out here that definitely can beat you if you're not on your ish early and often in the game. So no late game heroics for Pat Mahomes this week. All right, and that basically closes out my picks. I think what I'm going to jump into, just because I alluded to Kyler, that I'm going to get into my Say Less Player of the Week. Awesome. So for this week's, actually, give me one moment. Water break. Stay hydrated, my friends. But Say Less Player of the Week, I'm about 50% because I had Dak week 1, and then I went with Russell Wilson last week, which, I mean, was I wrong? Was I wrong? Exactly. Sorry, Will, but he went in on the Patriots last week. But I think I'm gonna go with Kyler. Sorry, I'm going to go with Kyler this week. He's going to have literally, like, I think he's going to drop 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing against Detroit's defense. It's just a really favorable matchup for him. I was looking at some other people, but it's just because of the fact that, so like if you have FanDuel or any of those things, I think Kyler is worth the money. I think he's like around 6,800 just to buy. He will be worth it. He's guaranteed 4 touchdowns. I'm telling you, he's gonna go off. Yeah, it'll be a very high scoring game. So that's why I'm gonna go with Kyler Murray. I mean, he might be he's going to be in the running for early MVP through the first 4 weeks. And I know there's going to be some people who are upset that I'm picking him, but Kyler Murray is going to be my Say Less Player of the Week. All right. And then I think for now I'm going to take a little hiatus, and then I'm going to take some questions from the group. So this will be the time where if you do have anything like as far as like fantasy or lineup changes that you want to get into, have those questions ready, just so we can get into that on the other side of this little 2-minute break or whatnot. But thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back. All right, guys. I'm back. Sorry, I had to take a little commercial break. I hope you guys have your questions ready that you want to ask me. Um, so, we'll just hop into, I guess it depends on what you guys are looking to get into, honestly and truly. So, hold on a second. Take this clicker off. Let's see. I think. Do you guys just have general questions, or do you want to? Is it specifically fantasy? Because if so, we'll just go. We'll go with fantasy first. I'll make the decision. All right. So if you want to hop on, I definitely will give you a link, and you can ask a question to me directly, or you can ask it in the thing. So. So if you want to ask it directly, just click on the link and I'll be more than happy to do it. But for now, I'll just start going through questions in the group. Let's see. Is Cam greater than Russ? Is that a question or is that a statement? Thoughts on free agency whores. Okay. Ignore the indecent word. But look, depending, and this is a very important thing for people who are in different types of leagues, know what type of waiver system or free agency waiver system you have, because that's very important. If you have one where you don't have waivers and you can just pick up the person willy-nilly at any time, you need to know that, hey, like if I'm a busy person, you're just going to have like alerts on your phone. I know they're annoying because they alert you about stupid things like someone going from questionable to active, which really doesn't matter, but hey, it's a part of the game. So just know how it works, and that'll be something you definitely need to look into. I'm going to answer this last question before I let the person on the show. But Michael Pittman Jr., definitely someone to look into. I think, is it Pascal? I think is hurt. One of the Colts receivers is hurt. So Michael Pittman, who was already getting a lot of snaps, is definitely going to be someone to look out for this week. And then... Oh, this is actually the same person who's asking this question. So I'll put him on now then. Hey, for those who are friends of the show, this is a friend of the show. My friend, my guy, Will. Your typical Pats fan. Oh, gosh. My guy, Will.
I'm getting bad audio on my part.
Your audio is awful.
I gotta leave. I'll come right back.
Yeah, get out of here. Boo. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. I will answer his question, which was Mike Davis or Lenny Fournette. That is tough. Leonard Fournette definitely has the more favorable matchup for sure. But Denver is not a joke of a team. Like it's more of like half of their team is a joke whenever you're thinking about the offensive side, just because of the quarterback injuries and because of Courtland Sutton being hurt as well. But at the same time, I think just because their offense is going to put them in less favorable positions, that's what's going to make it be hard for Leonard Fournette. But just because I don't know how Mike Davis can handle a full load of being a number one running back, I'm just going to go with Leonard Fournette. I think he'll probably get a touchdown or two. He'll definitely have double digits points. I don't know if Mike Davis will. All right, we're going to try this again.
I'm back, baby.
Okay, here we go. Way better. All right. Well, I already answered your question, bud. But
this has nothing to do with my question.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Ali's question.
Oh, the free agency
language.
I didn't say it. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I agree with you. You got to know your league, and the person asking the question or saying the statement is Ali, who for the past 1,000 years has been the biggest free agency. You know what? So now he decides he wants to be a doctor and doesn't have a couple hours a day to check free agency, and he gets mad at me, who hasn't been able to leave my house in months, that I pick up good people. So I mean, if there is a free agency, you know what, it's that person. I won't say names, but it's Ali.
Look, I feel like there's a lot of shots fired. Ali, feel free to defend your
Ali.
case. If you want to defend your case, I'll add you. We can go 3, but look, your thoughts on your matchup this week with the Raiders?
Who, the Pats?
Yep. No, the Jets.
Jets are going to lose. Next question. Pass. I think it's a dub.
You think it's a dub? These are favorites. 5.5 favorites.
I think we'll win by 3. I don't think we're going to cover, but I think we'll win by 3. It's going to be a good game. Like you said, Gruden versus Belichick. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And our defense did get exposed last week. But with the Pats, I mean, last year with the Pats, the beginning of the year, we played terrible teams. So our defense did look amazing. But every year, our defense gets better and better, especially that we lost 6 starters. We're still getting used to it. And I think Belichick will get better schemes and everything. And I think that our defense is just going to get better and better. Our offense already looks good, and that's going to continue to be better. So I don't think offense is the issue right now as opposed to last year. It's flipped. Our defense is the issue that we lost 6 starters, but I think we're going to get better and better, and it's going to be a close game, but Pats are going to get the dub by 3.
So, I mean,
24.
You know what I think your guys' key to victory is, and that's just running the ball. And I mean, obviously, you guys had a chance to win last week's game because Cam, I mean, he had 1 yard to get it. If he just cuts it outside,
bounce it outside.
Yeah, but clearly he didn't read the fullback block. Clearly, whatever. Anyways, look, I think you guys need to run the ball because Cam throwing that much isn't the. It's not
47 yards, beast.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. He can do that, but I think it has to be more of like a 60-40.
Yeah.
And last week was more of like a 55-45 pass run. If that makes sense.
Because we had to.
Because you had to. You were behind. Yeah. So I think that's the key here. You guys cannot get behind.
And we don't have Jimmy White again, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
R.I.P. Pops.
Broward, he's a Broward guy, so our top players go out to Jimmy, sweet feet, But for sure, yeah. I think the key in this game is going to be definitely Gruden's offense versus Belichick's defense, which I mean,
great matchup.
I love it, honestly. I don't even care who wins, but I know it's going to be a good matchup for sure. I hate that they have it so early in the day.
Oh yeah, I'm pissed too.
And so I don't know if they're going to make it the main game, so we're going to have to watch it through Red Zone. But I think that's definitely the best 1 o'clock game besides maybe Buffalo and Rams, 2-2-0 teams. So
and another thing about Raiders, Waller and Josh are a little banged up from last week. So
yeah, but he's
going to play.
Yeah, Waller's just went active.
He's a beast.
Although why you need notifications on your phone, those who are not. But yeah,
I know.
And Ruggs is out. For those who have Ruggs, he is out.
Out.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure, they're out. But just wrapping it up. Thank you, my friend, for joining the show. Oh gosh, relax. Anyways, yep. Friend of the show, Will. Everyone say bye. Peace out. All right. Getting back into the question. I like that one. But what was the question? I knew I'd seen it, but okay. Good question. Definitely do not start them both. That's just a no. See, the thing is, I don't know how much they're going to be passing the ball because I think they're going to be in control of the game. Ollie, I think Fournette is probably the better play to this week just because they'll be up. They'll probably be looking to run the clock, especially late in the game. So I'd go with Fournette. I don't know how many. I don't think Ronald Jones is going to out carry Fournette. I think it'll probably be around 16 to 20 carries for Fournette and then 10 to 12 for Rojo. So I'm going to go with Fournette with that one. Listen, we're not talking NBA yet until the 2020-2021 season, but I will acknowledge that they did make the NBA Finals last night. So congrats to them, but whatever. Moving right along, we're gonna. If there's any more fantasy questions, ask them now. If ever hold your peace, we have 15 minutes left in the show, and definitely want to get into some other things. Dak or Josh Allen? Oh Lord. So who? Josh Allen has the Rams, Lord, and Dak has Seattle. I think I'm gonna go with Dak on that one, just because Cam threw for 300 yards on him. So I mean, I would assume Dak can do the same as well. I mean, and Dak has way better weapons than Cam does. No offense to you, N'Keal Harry. Shout out to you. You're on all my benches in my leagues. But I mean, if Damiere Byrd and N'Keal Harry are getting yards against Seattle's defense, what is CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and the boys about to do to the Seattle defense? And I'm assuming that Pete Carroll definitely had to get back in the lab. I don't know. And I mean, that's the same thing. They're kind of doing a similar thing to what the Jets did with Jamal Adams, where you have him everywhere. But the problem with that is what you saw last week, when you bring him up in the box and he blitzes and he does not get home, it leaves you so vulnerable on the back end of that defense. And that's what used to happen to the Jets all the time. So I can definitely relate to Seahawk fans who are just like, well, we just got Jamal Adams. Why is our pass defense so awful? It's because he is more valuable in the box than as a pass defending safety. So his value is if he's one-on-one with like a bigger tight end or like a possession receiver, because he's really good at moving his hips and he can run with them, or if he's in the box and he blitzes. But if he blitzes, he has to get home or else you're going to get torched, because then you're most likely in a cover 3 or you're in a man-free high, which means that you are vulnerable in that back end, which is what Russell Wilson knew was coming, and he was bombing away. So it's going to be interesting to see, one, if Dak, well, I mean, I think if that's what I'm saying, if they, I said Russell Wilson, sorry, I apologize, I meant Cam. If Cam could see that, Dak should be able to see that, not to compare the players, but defenses are defenses. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they start to back up Jamal Adams a little bit more and maybe not put him in the box so much, which I do not think. So I'm going to still go with Dak. Josh Allen is too inconsistent for me. I think he's going to throw a couple picks, especially with that Rams defense. If you saw the video of Aaron Donald throwing a fully grown lineman like a child, you'll understand why I'm just not okay thinking that Josh Allen's going to have a good day against that defense. What? Do the Pats get OBJ, Jarvis Landry, I'm assuming that's Marvin Jones. Correct me if I'm incorrect. I'm gonna go with the no. I think they're happy with the pieces they have. Unless he can get them, you know that Bill isn't gonna try to get him unless he can get him for the cheap. So unless any of those guys are available for like a 4th or 5th round pick or something like that ridiculous, which then everybody in the NFL circles will be like, are you trying to help them? I don't think so. Nah, I just don't think that's a real opportunity or a real thing that can actually happen. Next. Look, I'm also looking to play OBJ in my flex as well, and I'm nervous. I don't know if last week was a fluke. I don't know if I can trust Baker Mayfield. OBJ is just, honestly, he's fully, just like all receivers are so dependent on their quarterbacks. It just makes, I don't know why it feels like it's even worse with Baker Mayfield. Like, I felt more okay with Ryan Mallett throwing the ball to D-Hop than I do with Baker throwing the ball to OBJ, just because he's just, I don't know what's going on with them. It just makes no sense. You have all that talent, you just can't, at least the very least, just be good on offense. Maybe you lose games just from being high scoring, but they can't figure it out. So last week he had a good week. I'm just hoping it carries over into this week. I personally go, but it is Mike Davis. He's gonna get a lot of. I'm gonna go OBJ. I'm just going to on a wild limb and go OBJ. Don't kill the messenger. I'm going OBJ. Next, that's not a question. So if that is all complete, I think I'm just gonna get into some of like just my thoughts going into this week. And again, stop me if you do have any more questions, but I can go along and just finish them out as well. So some of my final thoughts just going into this week. So far, I mean, college football has been way more affected with COVID than the NFL. I think that just proves that that's a good sign on NFL's, like, that they're really taking care of the players and that they're really going through the protocols and doing the necessary things to keep us having these games on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whatever the case may be. But I mean, whether it even be like Virginia Tech, if you watch that news, they had literally almost their whole defense out and 4 coaches due to COVID. You have teams canceling because they don't have enough players, or they have starters that are out, so they want to cancel the game. Notre Dame. But yeah, it's really getting to the point where it's starting to get a little bit concerning on the college level. But I got to give the props to Goodell and the NFL front office for really handling this. I was really skeptical that they might not be able to get through the season without anybody catching anything, especially in the problematic cities like, you know, Miami, Dallas, LA, and such. The list goes on. But they've done well. I mean, haven't even heard anything about it either there, which begs the question, how have we not heard anything about one case? But yeah, it's a good thing to see. And I think just, you know, going forward, that if this can keep up, you know, especially with, you know, the way it's progressing, that it'll be definitely a very strong showing. I mean, the NBA is showing the most, like, you know, consistency in it. And so I think they set the blueprint for it, but they don't have the wider scale and wider, like, they're in a bubble in comparison to NFL. So it's just way more impressive that so far it's just been going smoothly, as opposed to the NCAA, where not only do you have so many different, like, conferences split and undecided and just looking completely like a hot mess, you also have a bunch of teams who, whether you have Mike Norvell at FSU as a coach catching COVID, which, I mean, he can't control how he caught it or whatever he did. I don't know. We don't know the full story on that. Or if you have literal sets of teams like Virginia Tech, who, look, I don't, like, it just looks ridiculous at this point. So they definitely need to figure that out. Yeah, those are just some of my thoughts. I definitely think that was the one I wanted to come back to. Just I don't think I've ever seen a week where there aren't so many. There's a lot of matchups. Survivor pool. So I had a lot of people who asked me about survival pool questions, just like, who would I pick this week as a lock that isn't a good team? And I had a really hard time picking that, just because there's a lot of matchups that normally would be just total, like, oh yeah, I'm going with that team. I've kind of been flipped, whether it's been San Fran versus New York. Usually I would have definitely been locked at San Fran. They're going to win that game, but because of injuries and stuff like that, you never know in the NFL. You just never know. So to answer that question, which I got last week, I think for sure they will definitely win the game. For me is, and it's sad to say that, but I think for sure it would have to be Indy at the Jets, for sure, or Jets at Indy, just because they have so far looked like one of the bottom 3 in the league teams. So I would have to go Indy over Jets, but just even then, that's just because of the nature of how the NFL is. You know, the Jets are going to try to run the ball and keep it close as much as possible. And with Phil Rivers throwing as many interceptions as he does, you never know. But wait, I'm reading. Sorry, I wasn't keeping up. Were there any questions in here, guys? Or okay, no, these are the same things. You guys are just being weird. But yeah, with 5 minutes left in the show, just want to open it up to any feedback that you guys might have, or just in general, any things that you guys might be thinking about, just in about the games today or anything like that. I know I had a couple questions about how I'm gonna do, like how I'm gonna pick my people for my explain your fandom each week. Honestly, I'm just going at random. I like to go with people who have interesting stories about their fandom, so it's nothing personal or anything like that. If I haven't picked you or anything like, but if you want to be on the podcast where you explain your fandom of your team, message me. I'll definitely get you on. And yeah, for sure, let you have your own little 2 minutes to rep your city, rep your team, and explain why you cheer for whoever you want to cheer for. I definitely am about to have the merch up and running real soon. Going to be some great things. I took a lot of feedback this week about that, so trust me, you guys like some weird things. I won't put out some of you guys, but yeah, for sure. I'm definitely interested in trying to get my brand out there. And if there's any sort of like commentary or any advice you have for me, please let me know. Obi, you're a mess. How do you handle kickers still sucking with no fans in the stands? And are you talking about the Bengals kicker, or are you talking about Gostowski? Because he was fine. He had a better week last week. I don't know. But Randy Bullock, I don't know. That guy's a joke and fat and needs to definitely fix his career because that's ridiculous. Who bringing him on the show? Randy Bullock? Is that who you're talking about? I don't think he would answer my request because my podcast last or 2 weeks ago, I was laughing at him. Oh, Obi, add the hop on the link. You're requested by the fans. They want to hear what you got to say. Hurry up! You got 2 minutes, bud. You got 2 minutes. Hop on the link. I said the link. But yeah, just getting back to what I was saying. I think there's a lot of even matchups. I'm not really a big fan of how they formatted this week. I think for sure you could have put you could have easily flipped the Indy Jets game, made them 1:00, and put the Vegas and New England game as a 4:00 game just to really give them the spotlight because nobody's really gonna want to watch the the Chargers game. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is just because they wanted Seattle and Dallas to really be the marquee game of the 4:00. But I definitely don't think they should have put them at 1:00. And then just in general. Oh yeah, sorry. Some people asked me about what my picks were because they missed the opening portion of the show. Before I let Obi on, let me just go ahead and put the picks that I have this week. All right, so I'll go ahead and add my friend, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Arabiana. In other sports news, for those of you like UFC, the guy, Izzy Airbender Adesanya, Lagos' own. If you saw at the end, he was speaking in Yoruba. The guy is amazing. He took down Paulo Costa. I know Obi really likes his Nigerian UFC fighter, so definitely had to get what he thought about last night's fight. I think you're muted. Yeah, can't hear you. What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. What I would say is I was really surprised because everyone's talking about Paulo being the big knockout guy. And somehow Izzy got the knockout? I feel like he completely handled it too.
Handled. I didn't even think it was close.
It was not at all.
Not at all.
I was very surprised at how quickly. I was thinking maybe 4-rounder.
Yeah,
2 rounds?
2 rounds. Honestly,
but I mean, I think one of the most interesting things is that Izzy was saying how he wants his legacy to go down, that he went against every single person that was put in front of him. He doesn't anyone, and he's just taking everyone on. So I think even if he does lose, you can't even fault him for that when that's his outlook. But I still think he's gonna be my favorite fighter forever. He's amazing.
If that John Bones Jones and him matchup happens, I don't think there's a person who's interested, even if you're barely interested in UFC.
You're watching.
You're watching it.
You have to.
You saw he was calling him out.
It's gonna happen because I feel like
John Bones.
Once John Jones figures it,
he's bored.
Yeah, he has to. He's good, and the way that Izzy keeps talking and his confidence, that's gonna get to him. And if he keeps saying he's the GOAT,
oh my God,
I don't know.
Connor would not even touch these guys. Don't even put his name in here, please.
I feel like it's just too nice.
But yeah, I was just excited for that because after last week with Tyron Woodley just disappointing everybody and letting whatever Colby Covington.
Yeah, he needs to hang it up. Honestly,
guys, if you haven't noticed, Dana said that most likely Colby Covington's next fight will be Miami's own.
Really?
Yes, it's gonna be him.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Jeez, that's big.
Exactly. If you don't know their backstory, if you don't know their backstory, they used to he on his couch, and then Colby started talking crap about him, and then now they both kind of turned into their own individual stars. It's gonna be that one will be another one.
That's
if they somehow put those on the same star, money will be made.
That's bank. That's bank.
So, any thoughts this week? I think that they wanted to know Obi's thoughts on this current NFL week. I know you came in week 1 hot with the hottest of takes with Gardner being top 10 QB fantasy wise. It held true so far. Anything else that you can just bless us with some wisdom? You're listening.
James Robinson.
Are all your takes?
What are you
saying? I was saying, are there?
Oh, do I have a take? I don't know. Oh, with this week, I mean, just because I acquired them in a trade today, I think Allen Robinson and Adam Thielen are going to finish as 2 top 12 wide receivers. I'm just wishing that could put in the luck in my favor, but I think
because I acquired him this week.
I mean, I don't go after people I don't think are going to produce, so that's a reason. But I also do think, even though you're kind of high on him, I think Dak is going to struggle. Even seeing how Cam played against Seattle, I still think that there's something in Dak where I'm not completely sold on him having the weapons he has and not playing just watching the games is what makes me feel this way. Because I feel like if I had Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and then one of the top 5 running backs in Zeke to take the attention off the passing game, I'd be shredding all teams, but I don't feel like that's what's going on. I feel like it's more of he's making plays for sure, but there's some real game manager vibes that come in the first half of most games. So we'll see.
What I would say to that, one, I'm just harking you back to week 1. That is your NFC representative. Secondly, that's your Super Bowl NFC representative. Just to remind you.
Yeah, I mean, I was really high on Dak at the beginning of this year, but the more I watch him week to week, it just gets way more sketchy. And I feel like by the time we're talking week 10, week 11, week 12, after we see all the teams through their buys and we're just like, this is what the records are looking like. Like, they may have a good record, but I don't think it's going to be because Dak is playing like a franchise quarterback. Like, him demanding all that money, I really want to see something more out of him, but I don't know.
But I mean, the defense is not helping him either. So,
but we do have successful QBs with bad defenses all the time. Like before, when the Saints defense wasn't as strong as it was, like I know Marshawn Lattimore brought a lot of juice to that defense, but Drew Brees was still shredding teams. And like when the defense wasn't a part of that team that was picking them up, Tom Brady was shredding teams. And like, I still would expect a Cowboys team with as many weapons as they do and a quarterback that is supposedly ranked as high as he is would be able to do a little more, but it's not looking that way.
And look, I agree with your take.
I mean, we're also only week 3. So I feel like my take is going to continuously change.
I agree with your take, but people who do not like Dak would say to you, or that are in favor of Dak would say to you, he dropped 40 points last week. What else do you want me to do?
That's fine. I mean, you have people drop points like randomly. Marvin Jones dropped 40 points in a week last year. Is he a top 10 wide receiver? I don't think so. But like, if I see him consistently, not only in fantasy putting up points, but also when you watch him, I think that's what the biggest thing was. Like, I watched that whole Cowboys game, and like, even though he was like, he's getting his 2-yard, 1-yard rushing touchdowns, which boosts his fantasy scores, but watching him, not a lot of confidence watching him play personally. But I mean, like, obviously any Cowboys fan would be like, oh no, like, he's looking at me shredding teams, we're winning, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. He's not doing anything franchise quarterback, like status type of plays where I'm like, okay, he's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I agree with you with it. Honestly, a lot of it is empty stats where he's coming from behind. The defense is playing umbrella coverage, cover 4, where they're backing off, and he can be.
Like, I feel like a close fought game going down to the wire. I don't see that.
I think it is. Just because Seattle needs to make that. I don't think Pete Carroll's going to do it. Just because he's one of those where he doesn't. He lets the players play how they want to play, and Jamal wants to play in the box, especially against Dak and Zeke and stuff. You know, he want to play in the box, and I think for Seattle to be good defensively, he can't play in the box. And if he is, he has to get home every single time because the back end of that secondary.
I think you got to dice it up like half and half because I feel like sometimes because you see.
I think his internet's cutting, but yeah, either way, it's 12:58, guys. I want to thank you guys for listening and tuning in to another week of my podcast and live show. Podcast is definitely seeing a lot of listens, and I want to thank you guys for doing that for me. I'm going to sign out, let you guys get 2 minutes to really get to finish up your lineups if there's anything. But another successful show. See you guys next week. And appreciate all the love. Don't forget to tune in next week at 11:50. We'll be out. You guys are awesome. Love you.